So today they're going to be exploring Google Maps, just period. It's to set up them actually doing a real map with content. It's part of my grand quarter two project. So the whole project is they're going to be looking at the Pacific Island nations. They're going to focus on pre-Western influence, and then their culminating activity is to create a newspaper based on articles that showcase FREPA, which stands for Family, Religion, Economics, Education, Politics, and Art. So they're going to be in small groups. They're going to choose one of the different categories. They're going to research that element within their Pacific Island nation. They're going to create a newspaper. So we've had a bunch of pre-work that we're working on. So first we looked at just a newspaper in general before they start their actual newspaper. And now we're going to look at Google Maps so they can locate their islands. I chose to use the Google Maps format because it's something new. It's something new that I'm trying. So this is actually the very first time I'm trying it with students. So it should be fun and interesting to see how that goes. But I've been taking a lot of workshops with it, and it just seems like the best way to integrate the maps and the location, the geography with culture, content. So with the new maps, you can plot it. They can see where things in relation to each other. You can mark distances, but then you can also start plotting in information and data. So I can set up categories. They can literally type in information, but they can also do a search through Google and find images, video, websites. They can link all of that. So one plot on the map becomes almost like a whole report. Then we can share this map, and so all the different island nation groups will put together their information. It'll be shared with their entire class, and then the class can jigsaw and see all the different nations without every single child having to do every single step. So it should be something fun. Today they're just doing an intro to my maps. You're just gonna play with it. I don't want to throw content because I want them to be engaged and excited about it first. So we're simply going to plot where they've traveled in the world. So it'll probably take a while because they'll first have to think, and then they'll probably get distracted searching, which is good because I want them to be excited and engaged. I want them to see the geography of the world. Reel them back in. I do anticipate some students saying they've never traveled before. So to accommodate those, I'm going to tell them we'll simply blow up Oahu as big as you can get and then plot different points on Oahu that you've been to or within Hawaii that you've been to. And then once they've plotted places that they've been, the next step is they're going to plot places that they want to go. And then the third step is I'm going to do a Google form, collect data from all the classmates. They're all going to just put in their favorite place that they've ever been and the city. And then that Google form, that's a third way to get information into the Google Maps. You import the data, and then they'll import, and then all the pins will pop up on their map. And they're going to tri-color it, so they'll see places I've been, places I want to go, and places my classmates have been. So it should be a fun way to introduce them to maps, to the world, to just opening their horizons. Maybe someone has been already to the different Polynesian islands that we're trying to get at, so we can integrate all of that. But hopefully it goes well, because I think the main thing for today is going to be just keeping them on track and not getting too distracted. But even the distraction is going to be good, because that means they're engaged and they're checking out the world. So either way. So the goals for this lesson, first off, is just to expose them to my maps, get them used to using it, show them the world, get them used to some geography, hopefully start introducing them to points in the Polynesian Triangle, but not necessarily, because that'll be the next step, because there'll be two maps. So the second map will be their actual Polynesian nation. Just getting them used to the tools, how to plot points, how to change the dots, how to do different layers, how to import data. So just the real basics of technical, so that once they get that, their feet wet with that, then they can apply it to content-based. As far as Common Core is considered, they are going to be doing research, so they are going to have to be looking at different sources. They're going to have to decide whether the sources are credible or not. They're going to have to decide which pieces of information they're going to pull, so the text-based information, they're going to have to cite it. Also, hopefully incorporating primary source, secondary source. I'm not going to throw that at them. I want to see what they pull up, and then once we move forward, then I'll say, okay, there's this thing called primary source, secondary source. Now let's look back at your map and let's see what you pulled out. And then I can bring up questions like, how credible is your information compared to this piece of information? And then they can start to analyze it after the fact. The way I plan to assess student outcomes, it's really just a play-based activity. It's simply to get them engaged. So really it's just a check. Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? They're gonna start with a tutorial. It's like 6 minutes. It's a guy with a British accent, so they should think he's kind of cool or weird one way, but at least it's engaging. And then they're gonna get in and they're gonna play. I do have a slideshow with different steps that they're supposed to take. So I have some students in the class that just jam. They're good, they don't need help. So I want to give them the freedom just to go. I've incorporated like ways to get bonus points. So for the students who are going ahead, they can do these little elements. But basically they have, the different steps would be to plot their personal data, change colors for the next piece of data, and then import the data from their friends. And then I'll look at the map and I'll check to see if they have the elements. And basically it's going to be pass, no pass kind of thing. If they don't have the elements, then those are the students that I'll definitely need to work with, because they are going to do it for content-based information with their next trial run of the maps. The expectations will start right away. I'm definitely going to remind them about our tribe's agreements. Definitely going to remind them about just library etiquette. And then I'm also going to encourage them to stay on task. But you know, with this kind of activity, what I found when we did a Google Draw activity. So I'm trying to show them something that probably they've never done before. Now the students who jam, and it was very surprising because it wasn't my smartest kids who were very affluent with the computer, with Google. It was a whole different variety. So the last time we talked and we said, okay, if you're really good, then you're a Google Ninja, and I'm gonna put you in a certain section. And then the ones who need help, I put them in a certain section so I could kind of focus on them. Today, I wanted them to be in their groups for Pacific Island nations, but not everyone has submitted their survey, which told me which group they want to be in. So I'm not going to be able to do that. So my original intent was to put them in their groups, and they'd have some Google Ninjas and some Google Novices, and they'd kind of help each other out. Today, I think with this period that we're going to see, I have some ninjas and some novices, and I think I'm just going to let it mix. I'm just going to let them find a seat, and then I'm going to encourage the ninjas to be proactive and help their neighbors once they're done. I kind of tell them, you know, it's like the whole oxygen mask on the airplane. Take care of yourself first, make sure you have oxygen, and then help another, because otherwise they get super excited and they just want to help everybody because they think that they're Google Ninja, and then they kind of take on this responsibility like, I have to help others. So I'm going to try and help them focus on doing their own assignment first, but they'll find things that I don't know yet. So that was really cool. The last time we did this, you know, they find things and they say, hey, you can do this, you can do this. And so I usually kind of stop the class and I'm like, hey, you know, so-and-so found this really great way to do something. Let's let them tell us real quick. If you need more help, they can help you once they finish their assignment. So just kind of piecing it that way. The last time we attempted this, it was pretty manageable. The kids who, you know, were Google Ninjas, they just went off and they did their project, and I embedded things that they could add, make it, you know, more creative, add this, add that. And so they kind of, you know, were kept busy, so that worked. And then even today's assignment, I have things that they can do for bonus, adding more points, adding different layers, adding different icons, things like that. But then there are some who will want to help, and usually they're so excited to help that they help in a good way because they don't want to get, you know, scoldings or anything, or told to sit back down. So I'm just gonna pray, cross my fingers, that it all works out. So today's essential question is, what role do maps play in understanding history and culture? And so that's going to get into, you know, when they get into their content base. But today I want them just to kind of discuss, why are we using a map? Like, why are we just talking about it? Why am I making you plot it? What's the difference when we interact with the map? And I'm hoping that they'll also discuss the interaction with Google Maps and all the different ways to incorporate different information, data, that kind of thing. So we'll see. This lesson, I hope, is engaging to students because it's novel, something they probably have not done before. The Google Maps app, they've kind of gone between My Maps and Map Engine Lite and Tour Browser. There's different things that are out there. Google has kind of combined things and they put it together. So I don't think any of the students have played with this yet. So hopefully that the novelty right there will be engaging. The first step is all about themselves. So like a tribe's activity where they're discussing themselves, sharing it with their friends, collecting information about their friends. So not only are they using the technology and the new app that I'm teaching them, not only are they learning how to manipulate that, but they're also learning about themselves, learning about their classmates, building community, just even if they're simply at their own computer, they'll start to see different people. I hope that this will be a great activity for them to build community because they're not interacting directly. So for those students who may be a little shy or a little embarrassed or not want to speak out, or the students who are too exuberant and tend to take over at times, they'll all be on an even playing field because they'll all be inputting the data points and they'll all see everything pop up at once, and then they can start checking it out and see who's been where. Oh, I've been there. Oh, me and so went to Disneyland. Or, that's my favorite spot is that. Oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, wow, they've been to that spot. So hopefully that will get them engaged, and then that excitement will carry over to when they have to use content. I believe this lesson is going to be useful and relevant to the students' lives because Google Maps is something they can use every day. Usually people just use like the basic 5%, finding directions and figuring out where to go. But hopefully once they play around with it, they can start to incorporate it into future projects, definitely social studies. But every content can include the map function in their project. For English, something that's really cool is if you have a book and the book is taking the character through different locations, you map the locations and then you see it, and then the students can plot different information like maybe the setting or the feeling of the character. English can manipulate, science can do the same thing. They can take a theory or a person and plot their life or plot how a theory took over the world and how it traveled. Same thing for math. What is people doing in China? What is people doing in Hawaii? How is it the same? How is it different? So hopefully they'll start to see the relevance, and then they can suggest it to their teachers, because sometimes teachers, we get busy doing certain types of activities and we don't think outside of what we're used to. But if a student comes up, hey, can we map this? Then maybe that'll help bring the teachers in as well. So that's a hope.